Hey, welcome back. My name is Dino. This video is on various myths and disinformation techniques. The focus of the video is to explore various online myths and disinformation techniques. So I'll list a bunch and describe them and give examples, etc., etc. Let's begin with these three terms in copy pasta. Gish gallop and fire hosing are somewhat related. There's various terms that they can kind of build, and upon one another, they relate to each other definitely. Copy pasta is argument stories or links that people save and repeatedly paste into online forums, Facebook groups, etc. So it's like, say if you're online, you're going to have this information, this misinformation, maybe disinformation in this situation, and you just save it to be able to use over and over and again, say for comment section for YouTube, etc., etc. Gish gallop. This is where you try to drown others in arguments, often by posting copy pasta. Here you want to overwhelm opponents by providing excessive arguments regardless of their accuracy and strength. So it's basically you're copying and pasting a lot of arguments so that whoever's reading it or you're debating with online is so overwhelmed, drowned by this content, this poor quality content, that the person who's doing this gish galloping wins, or is perceived to win by various viewers or listeners. And fire hosing, thirdly, is similar to the gish gallop. That's where it occurs over time in multiple venues. So it's not like the gish gallop, which may just persist for the course of, say, an online debate. This one will go over time. Next one is, I apologize about this name. It's not my choice. It's Jack, like J-A-Q, jacking off. And the description is the various online users, they would state that they're, quote, just asking questions, the JAQ. I think the example of this, again, I'm not saying he does this all the time, is just the Joe Rogan. Just he's sort of said to various listeners on various places that he's just asking questions. So, and I'm not saying that Joe Rogan necessarily does the latter part, which is he necessarily has bad faith. That's up to you, the viewer, whether you like Joe or do not. It's just these questions are often in bad faith. So it's basically you just keep asking questions over and over and over again. Again, not so much to look for an answer, but more just to sort of throw a wrench in the works. For example, this would be 9/11 truthers who would, say in the aftermath of that horrific tragedy, instead of asking questions to find more about, how that terrible incident happened, it was more, more conspiratorial issues about the actual collapsing of the towers, which can get mired in speculation about who did it, how the buildings collapsed, etc., etc. Cherry picking. In terms of description, here, users only use information that fits their beliefs, and the opposite to that, which complements it though, is they also ignore other information that proves them wrong. So it's like getting more and more information that fits their belief and trying to discard, ignore, discredit information that would prove them wrong. One example, again, what side of the debate you're on is more than up to you, is the idea of COVID vaccine injury studies. This is where people like ultimately, I think the COVID-19 debate, it really boils down to whether you think they're effective and whether that's more effective than the vaccine injuring. From most reputable studies, the number of lives that were saved by COVID-19 overwhelms the people that were injured, like the numbers, but also the extent to which people are injured. I'm not saying that people weren't injured, it's just that the vaccine helped more than it hurt. And so as a result, the opposite is done by those who cherry pick. Next is gaslighting. According to Guy Evans, it is, quote, a form of psychological abuse whereby a person or group manipulates one or more people into questioning their sanity and perception of reality. I'm sure if you've been on this is a broader psychological term, which has been more transitioned into the online space over the last couple of years, especially again based in COVID, where I think a lot of people spend a lot of time indoors, and the world was very topsy-turvy. An example of that is the idea, again, going back to COVID, I apologize, the examples just sort of fit it, is the idea that people spread the idea that COVID-19 is a conspiracy. Obviously, again, if you somewhat follow traditional science and traditional immunology, vaccine science, etc., COVID-19 occurred, and it caused, a tremendous amount of pain, death, and suffering across the globe. In contrast, some people would say that the whole thing was a conspiracy, and that people that actually like the most people on the opposite end would say something. It's such a conspiracy that people didn't die. It's completely going against what actually happened. So that would be an example of gaslighting, where the reality is completely called into question. And finally, for this video, the idea of false balance. According to Grimes, quote, this is a perception in the public mind that an issue is scientifically contentious when it is not. One example, I apologize, these are just popular examples that, again, I don't want people to sort of choose their political sides based on videos or just talking more about concepts. The practicalities is up to you. The example would be climate change not being influenced by humans. Most of the science that's come out about climate change says that human beings have in fact influenced climate change. That's just a generally accepted belief. There are people that believe the opposite, but there's just not many. The number of studies is fewer. They're less reputable in terms of the way they're done. But it's equating those two things. So again, it creates a false balance between those two things. So that was Mis and Disinformation Techniques. My name's Dino. Thanks for watching. Have you noticed any of these mis or disinformation techniques? Have you seen them when you read online, when you go online, etc., etc.? Please feel free to comment on any of these techniques, whether you experience them, whether you have pushback against them, any problems you may have had, any suggestions on how to solve it. Finally, if you like this type of video, please feel free to subscribe to this channel for similar types of content. As always, thanks for watching. Take care.